For example, if you're an agent in Austin, Texas, but you do a lot of business in Florida, you'll be able to market listings in Florida on this site. We are going to keep it free for all commercial firms and agents. It's open to the public for people to view what is listed on the site.
This episode brought to you by Suites at Madison. Meeting and conference rooms for rent by the hour, week, month, or year. Suites at Madison, where business gets done. Check them out at www.downtowntampaoffice.com. Now, on to the show.
You are listening to the Invest Florida Real Estate Show, covering topics in lending, buy and sell strategies, property management, hot markets, and tips and tools to guide you along the way on your path to real estate success. You want Florida investment real estate talk? You have come to the right place. And now, our hosts, Eric Odom and Stephen Silverman.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Invest Florida Real Estate Show. This is your co-host, Eric Odom, along with Stephen Silverman. Stephen, another episode.
Another day, another episode, and every day we learn a little bit more.
Well, you know...
Or we forget a little bit more. We're getting older.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, speak for yourself, exactly. It's it's that time of the year. We've just got through with all of our CamRecs for folks on the residential side. They don't really have to worry about that much, but on the commercial side, particularly the retail and industrial side, properties are leased to tenants on a rent plus basis. In other words, there's rent plus additional cost. So, we do property management and part of that deal is, passing on those additional, fees, additional costs of operating centers onto the tenants that we, help manage. And we're popular guys when we come around and bring them,
because it's a problem for both parties. For the landlord, how many landlords have we come across that they're not getting what they should be getting? Are they just leaving money on the table because it's a little bit of work and it's complicated and it's tedious and it's boring? But they're entitled to charge more for certain things. And tenants sometimes are overzealous in looking at it, and sometimes they don't even pay attention. They leave money on the table.
Yeah, or they're paying more than they should. It's on the landlord side. There's so many, well, just on both sides, really. There's so many, just critical date management. When the lease commenced, how long is on the lease? What are the options? What are the rent bump periods? What are the rent accelerators? What are all the clauses in the lease that allow a lease to, a landlord to charge more or less based on certain variables and dates? And it's complicated to stay on top of. And unfortunately, a lot of folks, if they don't have a system in place, it just goes to the wayside. And
because there's no standardization.
Yeah.
Every lease is different, and it's hard to keep on top of all of that.
Yep. It definitely is challenging to stay on top of if you don't have a system. And so, we try to create those systems, to help our clients out with that functionality and provide them with timelines and tickler systems on critical dates so that they can stay on top of whether it be rent bumps or rent reductions or cost of living increases or whatever the lease calls for. So we just got done with that. It's with that period and getting it all wrapped up. Still have a few loose ends we're trying to get finished. But some uncomfortable conversations we have with people when they have to write checks. They're not happy about it. I understand that. Landlords always like it when the tenants write additional checks. The tenants don't like it very much. But that's the deal. That's the life we live. Got another little issue we're going to talk about today, Stephen. What's the deal with that?
Well, real estate is about problem solving, I guess, like a lot of things, but there are issues that we have to figure out how to be more efficient and work around and be more effective. And today's topic addresses one of those issues.
And we're going to talk about listing services. It's not like it is in commercial, like it is on the residential side. And anybody who sort of deals in the arena and the commercial side understands that. And when I say commercial, it's your multifamily guys too, because on MLS, to try to find, plus 5 unit apartments on MLS, it's slim pickings, tough to find. So, you need to go to other sources, and there's been some challenges with those sources. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about a new entry into the market. It gives us an opportunity to talk a little bit about some of the challenges with each one of the current listing services. So, Stephen, anything else before we roll into our guest?
Let's roll and rock. Today we have with us Devon Richter. Devon hails from Austin, Texas, where he is an independent real estate agent, but he's also a principal in the purchase of income and general commercial properties. He's been involved in commercial real estate for the last 20 years. Devon has identified a problem in commercial real estate, and we're here to talk about it today. So, Devon, welcome to the Invest Florida show.
Stephen, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show.
And Devon, folks might be asking why someone from Austin, Texas is on the show. Of course, many times we're talking with individuals around the country. It doesn't really matter when, the issues that we have in Florida many times are the same that people have in California and Texas and New York. And Devon's certainly trying to address that issue. But you and I met, I think you actually called me maybe a month or two ago. That's how we got together, I believe correctly, Devon. Is that right?
That is right. Correct.
Yeah. And you had called me, because of this issue that Stephen had talked about. It's an information issue, correct?
Yeah. It's just simply, the ability for commercial firms to market their commercial real estate property and also search for them.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a number of solutions on the market right now, but they all kind of fall short.
Well, let's just talk about that. People listening to the show, I mean, when they think of marketing real estate, they think of MLS. And we have MLS in our market. It works exceptionally well for residential properties.
Let's stop there and explain what MLS is, because some people might not understand, particularly on the commercial side. MLS is the National Association of Real Estate sanctioned
multiple listing
service. That's correct.
And realtors belong to MLS. Yeah. So you have to be a realtor.
Yeah, you have to be a realtor, and realtor.com is the distribution site for MLS, and it's very siloed towards residential properties. In fact, I don't even think you can look up commercial properties.
No, they have a small universe.
Small. Yeah. So that's one, right? So MLS is one.
But the interesting thing, we're all sitting here talking. We're commercial brokers. Devon's an investor and a principal, and there's a problem in our market. So, Devon, maybe you can just cut to the chase and tell us what the problem is.
Well, the problem is marketing. If you're a commercial agent or a broker, it's actually marketing your property. It's the price barrier that's sometimes a little bit too high for people to get involved in commercial real estate. We have created an online site to where basically anyone in the commercial real estate business has the ability to market their property online and for others to search for it.
And people are going to be able to look for that nationwide. And I think that's a big thing too, because we're members of Florida Gulf Coast Association of Commercial Realtors, and every broker across the country is probably a member of their own local association, but they're very siloed in terms of their listing service is good for whatever area market footprint they're serving. But for someone in Austin wanting to market a property that they might to our brokers that might be outside of our footprint, there's no eyeballs on it on the FICAR service, and it's not a national platform. It is a national platform in terms of what we use, but it's only strong in some markets and other markets it's not strong. So that's another option. But your option, you're saying that people are going to be able to list on it, and they're going to be able to get distribution nationwide. You're not throttling this in any way.
You are spot on, Eric. This is very agnostic. We want to include everybody in the commercial real estate business. For example, if you're an agent in Austin, Texas, but you do a lot of business in Florida, you'll be able to market listings in Florida on this site. So we're opening it up for everyone to be able to do commercial real estate business.
And when you say everyone, is it brokers? Is it landlords? Is it people doing it directly?
So currently it's commercial real estate firms and real estate agents. They can all jump on the site and create their profile and market their business. Along with, you don't even have to have a login information site to view. It's open to the public for people to view what is listed on the site.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing with the large distributor of data in the market, which was CoStar. We used to be LoopNet, and then CoStar purchased them. And there's been a lot of changes there that make it challenging for and expensive for individuals to get their property distributed. And certainly from our standpoint, it's most of our clients understand LoopNet, and that's where they want us to list when we have listing agreements. But the reality is that our lead base on trying to market those properties has fallen off the cliff. I mean, you can look at what we had in terms of eyeballs on and how many people are requesting information on our properties has dropped off dramatically. CoStar can explain, why that is the way it is. It's not us to try to rationalize it. The reality is that it has dropped off, and it's become increasingly expensive. I've just had my second rate increase. Got it 2 weeks ago. I think it's doubled now over the last 2 years. So it's tough. I mean, if you've got one or two properties that you're trying to market, I mean, how do you do that? Well, you're offering the solution. So why don't you tell us a little, like what's the site, the name of the site, Devon?
The site is called myelistings.com.
Okay, myelistings.com. And currently there's no charge for getting that up if you're an owner or a broker. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. We are going to keep it free for all commercial firms and agents here going forward. I mean, we want to make it available. Like you said earlier, there could be, there's agents that I know that focus in residential, but they may have a great commercial listing that they could sell. Well, they can't. It's
$1,000 for them to get any kind of subscription on LoopNet. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to try to market a $200,000 listing and pay $1,000 for your listing service and monthly.
There's an option now.
Yeah. And so that's and the reason you reached out to me is that you started in Texas. And so you got some concentration in Texas and trying to get enough density to get the ball rolling in Texas. And now you're in Florida. And I know from the time you and I talked, there was almost nothing in Florida I looked on. And now I've gone back and you've put all of our listings on it. And I see the density starting to increase in Florida. So you're out there working the phones and trying to get people on this service. So it really is about critical mass, right? I mean, you get enough people looking at it and it becomes a viable tool for people.
Exactly. We've got an additional 500 listings committed for Florida, some in Miami, some more in Jacksonville, Tampa, and our other team has started reaching out to other states, and we're getting more committed there. So, yeah, it's been a great wave. It's just started, but exactly, once we get the critical mass on there, it should take on a personality of its own.
So, just so that I understand, it costs money. It's time and money to do this. So if you're offering this for free, how are you able to do this?
That's a great question. Our goal is when we get 10,000 listings on the site, we are going to add a tab for advertising for local area specialists. For example, you're in Florida and you're in Tampa, Florida, and you need an environmentalist impact study or any kind of inspection. We're going to sell advertising for specialists to advertise in their geolocation area. So you'll be able to see area specialists, and we're going to be able to offset the cost to this website that way without having to charge the firms and the agents to list their property.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, really, for you, it's a smart move because you're trying to get, density on there, and the more eyes you get in there, now there's a viable advertising model, for the service providers, whether it be the appraisers or the surveyors or the environmental inspection guys. And it makes sense. Of course, your motive's a little bit different than the Wall Street controlled data firms who are in it to show how much subscriber revenue they can generate, how much they can increase that, and how much profit margin they can make. It's a completely different model for somebody like you and your team who is trying to make sure that they've got distribution for their own properties and be able to have access to their own properties without having data throttled because you either have a lesser subscription or you're not buying enough X or Y to meet Wall Street standards. So it, it's giving you what you need to be able to, your ulterior motive is to get properties. I mean, really, that's what your goal is. It's not the bottom line. Yeah,
exactly. Let's make a site to improve the commercial real estate industry as a whole across the U.S. and give people this option and get the critical mass on it. And then it's that option for the people that either have large inventories or the mom and pop shops that can't afford it. They've got an option now.
Mm-hmm. So Devon, let's talk about it. People want to get in touch with you. They want to post their listings. They want to see how they can have access to look at how do they get in touch with you and your team?
Very simple. They can email me, Devon, DEVEN, at myelistings.com. They can email me there. They can go on site, myelistings.com, and go request information, or they can call me directly at 512-844-2495.
Terrific. Devon, definitely appreciate your time and talking to you about your service. Stephen, is anything else before we let Devon go?
Yeah, Devon, we live and breathe in this market, so all of us have a problem, and it's so interesting that you've defined what a problem is and are making an effort to solve it. So thank you for being on the show. I'm sure our guests will be very interested in it.
Absolutely, guys. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate the time.
All right, Devon. Take it easy, buddy.
You bet. Thank you.
And that was Devon Richter from myelistings.com. Stephen, what were your thoughts? What are your thoughts about the world of listings in commercial real estate today?
Well, right now it's not really an efficient market. MLS in residential really does cover the market well, but for us, we have to hunt and peck and look in different places. It's easier to miss things. It's harder to find things.
It's really segmented. LoopNet for the longest time was sort of the 800-pound gorilla. Things have changed under CoStar, and it's affected the distribution, I believe. It's affected eyeballs on the product in a negative way. And there's options. You're starting to see more folks enter into the market. And Devon's certainly got an option that we're going to start using. I think at the end of the day, Stephen, there's going to be no silver bullet to any of this. There's drawbacks to the platforms that currently exist, and Devon's trying to fill that hole, fill that need. But it's going to end up being one bullet in the chamber, one bullet in the cartridge, and there's not going to be, I think, ever in commercial real estate a silver bullet like you have with MLS, but that's okay. I mean, the different strokes for different folks, and we'll end up, as us for marketing, we're going to have our lines with a lot of different hooks and bait and a lot of different bodies of water.
I look at it as a chair with 7 legs. You have to have all the legs on the floor, and you don't know which one's going to pull in something, but
yep.
We have to keep the options there.
Yep. And so we wish Devon good luck. If you'd like to get in touch with him, there and either start looking for your listings through his site or list your own properties through there. It's worth checking out. And Steve, is there anything else before we let our listeners go?
Yes, the important thing is to go to the archives if you want to get some past episodes on the Invest Florida show. And don't forget to be mobile. You can listen to it the podcast while you're on the road or in the gym. Just download it on your mobile device, and you'll stay informed.
Awesome. Guys, as always, we appreciate the time that you invest with us each and every episode. And until next time, hasta la vista.
You've just listened to the Invest Florida podcast with Eric Odom and Stephen Silverman. Join us every week for actionable real estate investment ideas, and of course, visit our website at www.investfloridashow.com for more shows and tips on how to earn a cash flow in the real estate market in Florida. While hosts and producers of the Invest Florida show have no reason to doubt the validity of comments of our guests, we do not warranty their accuracy. Please check with your legal, financial, and tax advisors before entering into any investment. Returns will vary from person to person and deal to deal based on unique circumstances. All information expressed in this show is for educational purposes only. Opinions of the guests are not necessarily shared by the hosts and producers of the Invest Florida show.